UN 영어뉴스 How Six Colors Update the Iconic London Tube Map. Changes to six lines of the London Overground mean an update to a 1931 design that went global and became a gold standard, even sparking an uproar in 2009 when the River Thames was taken off the map. New names for the six lines of the London Overground have been revealed, with each given its own color, redesigning the city's iconic tube map. The changes are intended to make it easier for passengers to navigate the network by giving the routes distinct identities. The Overground was previously all one color, orange. The six new names are the Lioness Line, the Mildmay Line, the Windrush Line, the Weaver Line, the Suffragette Line, and the Liberty Line, each chosen because of particular local histories. It marks the most recent update to a map that arguably helped to shape the city itself. The first section of the London Underground opened in 1863. Over the following decades, a number of tube maps showing an uncoordinated network of lines owned by different companies were published in increasing, unwieldy profusion. None looked like the iconic map so beloved by visitors and locals today. The fact that there were so many underground maps before Harry Beck's famous diagram of 1931, the blueprint of today's maps, was proof of a problem that took many years and a great deal of ingenuity to solve. After all, how could a designer fully represent lines that crisscrossed a few square miles of central London, yet also stretched across what, until as late as 1900, had been farmlands, markets, gardens, and remarkably remote Middlesex villages? And how could it all fit into a single map, one that could be folded neatly into a coat pocket? Size matters. The sheer spread of the underground network made mapping it problematic. Even in central London, there were stations like Covent Garden and Leicester Square just 200 meters from each other, while others like King's Cross and Farringdon were 1.15 miles apart. Outside the center, the underground stretched as far as Verney Junction and Brill in Buckinghamshire, rural outposts 50 miles from Baker Street. As maps of the time took their cue from historical precedent, it was thought that these geographic distances had to be represented to scale. But by 1930, it was clear that any map trying to plot the entire underground network geographically was going to be too big to handle, especially in the busy confines of a tube station, where a shoulder room was precious. So underground maps over the time tended to concentrate on lines in central London. They allowed lines farther afield to drop off the edge of the city, as if they were ships sailing through the mermaid and monster-populated seas of an unenlightened black world. Many of these early artist-designed maps are utterly charming and rightfully collector's items today. They were, however, neither comprehensive nor even particularly useful. Maps were Mondrian. In 1931, Harry Beck, a young engineering draftsman who had joined the underground group's signal engineer's office in 1925, came up with a solution. It was to become not just a useful tool for Londoners and visitors to the capital, but a much-loved design in its own right. It remains the basis for the maps used today. And yet, when Beck first presented his diagram to underground management, they were unsure. Lines running horizontally, vertically, while at 45-degree angles were plotted on a grid. As string geography, it looked like a cross between an electric circuit diagram and a Mondrian painting. While it was no longer possible to tell the distance or precise geographic location of stations at a glance, Beck reasoned that this was unimportant. What passengers needed to know was how to get from one station to another as efficiently as possible, and where to change between lines. In 1933, the underground city buses, trams, trolley buses, river buses, and Green Line coaches were brought together under the umbrella of a new public corporation, the London Passenger Transport Board, with a spirit of modernization in the air. The time was right to see how the public would respond to Beck's radical diagram. After a test run of 500 copies were distributed from a select few stations in 1932, 700,000 copies of the map were printed in 1933. It proved an instant success. A reprint had to be ordered within a month. Yet the map wasn't perfect. Beck had been unable to include the western extremities of the district line, shown in green, or the rural adventures of the metropolitan magenta beyond Rickmansworth. These design puzzles were solved over many years as Beck improved his map. His last version was printed in 1960 when he fell out with the London Transport. His publicity officer, Harold Hutchinson, took over the design task. Feeling a sense of ownership and averse to seeing his design changed by third parties, Beck fought a long legal battle with London Transport. He abandoned this in 1965, but worked on the map privately, along with the designs for the Paris Metro. He had begun decades earlier, until his death in 1974. Since 1986, the design has been a corporate task with the names of individual designers, aside from Beck, who remains credited as the originator. Subsumed in this never-ending enterprise, the map has long gone global too. Not only has it inspired countless metro maps across continents, but it is also a staple of t-shirts, coffee mugs, and countless other souvenirs. Cry me a river. That means that when big changes are made, everyone notices. Over the years, lines have been added, including the Docklands Light Railway, the Overground Network, Crossrail, and the Emirates Airline cable car linking Greenwich Peninsula with the Royal Docks. Then, in 2009, the River Thames was removed from the map. This had long been its one defining geographic element. When it went, there was a public outcry and negative media attention from around the world. The Thames was back on the map within months, although collectors of underground maps, of whom there are many, will prize the Thamesless map, much as stamp collectors treasure Edward the Eighth postage stamps, among other design rarities. In 2006, Beck's map came second in BBC Two's Great British Design Quest, when more than 200,000 viewers chose between such compelling designs as the Mini E-Type Jaguar and the album sleeve of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Beck's map came second, beaten to the #1 slot only by Concorde, perhaps the most beautiful aircraft of all time. Beck's map and its successors have inspired artists too. David Booth's The Tate Gallery by Tube, 1986, a poster for London Underground stations, showed tube lines squeezed from tubes of paint since 1992. The Tate model has displayed The Great Bear by Simon Patterson, with station names replaced by a plethora of artists, explorers, scientists, actors, and writers. It isn't only artists who have been inspired by the map. For generations, London school children, trying to relieve the monotony of their daily commute, have translated station names into foreign alternatives, with King's Cross, for example, becoming Königskreuze, and many have been able, thanks to the graphic clarity of the underground map, its bright colors and peerless Johnstone typeface, to memorize every station on the underground network. From games and memory feeds to artworks and souvenirs, Beck's diagram imprinted a very particular map of London on the minds of millions. More than 8 years old, it remains the gold standard by which new metro maps are judged.